It's very good.
Keyword food. Don't ever let them, the food is very, very important part of this, and I know that's part of your new mission.
It is.
It is, and it's very, very important because there's a lot of great things we can do with a regional food system, et cetera. And your background with co-ops is important because that's a valuable part of what we do in Vermont. We have a robust one, but it has gaps and challenges just like anything else. So it's an honor to be here, and I know it's a special day. Yesterday was really special for you guys. We got another special day today with the ceremony downstairs in a few minutes. But I'm going to scoot out and get ready for that so I get my seat. And I know you guys will be getting in there pretty soon too. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
I'll see you very soon, I think.
Yeah.
You're live.
Okay. Well, I think that wraps up our meeting.
First day.
Okay, good. Well, so the other thing that I'd like to spend some time on, and I'm hesitating whether to, I think we won't do it actually today. But I'd like to have another sort of going around the table and hearing a little bit more about each of your thoughts and maybe wishes for the session. What you hope we might be able to accomplish. What if you've got specific bills that you're thinking of introducing or have already been working on, that would be an opportunity to just give us a little bit of information on that. But I don't want to throw that at you and say, do that right now. So I think maybe it make more sense to do later.
Were you the chair last year?
No.
I'm just curious what the Ag Committee did last biennium.
Yeah.
To sort of get a refresher.
Yeah. Good, really good question. And we, in fact, next week we'll have some time with our legislative council who's going to walk us through.
Okay.
What the committee did last year, what bills were passed, possibly a little bit on what bills were discussed but didn't get through the enactment stage. I think that'll be helpful to give us some just a little context. And we will have the commissioner back. We'll have other members of the agency in to give us a really thorough grounding on what they do. Then the other agency, we will have the Agency of Natural Resources folks because we're dealing with not just one agency in the administration. We'll also be the committee will be getting reports. In fact, I've got a long 4-page document of reports that are due to this committee and will be coming in, trickling in probably over the next few weeks. So some of them are reports that come in every year, and some are reports that might have been spelled out in statute last year. So it'll be something that's brand new. We'll be seeing for the first time. And it might be helpful in some cases anyway to have somebody come in and walk us through what's in those reports. Good question. So other procedural questions or thoughts?
And just to be consistent, David, as far as calling each other titles or names and witnesses to, what do you want?
Okay, yeah, good question. So the decorum, sort of general decorum in the body is to representative, the title representative with the last name. I will probably not be consistent with that because I am not the most formal person. I do like the idea. I think there's something to be said for having that sort of as the way of setting a tone. So I'll probably be inconsistent, but I won't take offense if anybody forgets or doesn't call me Chair Durfee and calls me David or Dave. That's absolutely fine. I would say, I think it would be good to set the tone. If anybody feels uncomfortable with that, we can talk about it, but I think it might be, we can try that and see how it goes.
I'd
We'll have to remember everybody's names. That's a little
That's
intimidating.
why we have these.
Yeah.
We'll have to learn how to read.
Yeah, I'm gonna have trouble with names, and I am really bad with that, actually. Not a good thing for somebody. who's
Everyone face them towards the chair.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't need to turn them necessarily to me, I will.
I'm also a stand-up comic, so I apologize in advance.
So again, hope you'll excuse or forgive if I'm saying, yes, you. Go ahead. If you would like to, when you would like to say something, because we often may want to say something at the same time as someone else, just raise your hand and then I will try to keep track of whose hand was up first and call them in order. Representative Lipsky.
Thank you, Chairman Durfee. When I submitted a list to the speaker for preferred spots, it was agriculture and forestry. There was a committee called Natural Resource, which I see doesn't exist. So when the new committee name was announced yesterday, it was sort of surprising. But this is more of a comment. When I listened to all of the members, co-members of this committee, I am big sense of relief fell from my shoulders because there's collective expertise particularly in food resiliency, which we know is a critical issue, period, in the world, in our country, but in a short growing climate state like Vermont, it's particularly critical, but it's been out there. So the fact that it is married now with agriculture and forestry, I'm glad to be in the company of people with hands-on knowledge, mind involvement. So that lightens our load. The natural resource piece, which is a second part to my comment, there were very critical both regulations and requirements always evolving that affect both agriculture, forestry, less so with food. Where do we interact with that sort of regulatory oversight, particularly with wetlands or water resources?
Yeah, that's a key question, and it will often be not clear, I think, depending on what's in the bill. So where this matters is a bill is introduced and it covers something related to what you're describing, and it will need to be assigned to a committee. And I know that there's just sort of an inherent conflict between the work of what was the Natural Resources Committee and has been now combined with the Energy and Technology, what was the Energy and Technology Committee into the new committee. So we'll I think often have bills, and those of you who've been here can feel free to chime in and say if you have a different interpretation or want to elaborate. But I think we'll often see bills that start out in one committee and then move to the other committee either in a formal way or an informal way because they cover topics that other committee is also interested in. Does that sound right, or?
Yeah, there was some talk last year about kind of creating some clear jurisdictions. I don't know if that was ever established. Do you know, Heather, or is there anything that the speaker has really said, like, Act 250, if it has Act 250 in the bill, it's going to, not us, or, something like that. But I don't know if those are been established or not.
Yeah, I think that what you just said is accurate. And I know I was involved in some of those conversations about creating some clarity, and it may be perfectly clear to folks who are in charge of assigning bills.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we'll know a lot more soon.
Because in the past, there's been kind of clear like triggers, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe not clear, but there's been triggers.
Nothing clear about Act 250.
Yeah.
Other thoughts, questions, comments?
I have one, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Please.
This has come up, I'm sort of a fringe member of the Social Equity Caucus. And I'm wondering if, as we're especially thinking about food issues and even just regular farming issues, are we going to be able to have a chance to put a social equity, I hate this phrase, lens on things, but to make sure that we're considering different avenues and really thinking about marginalized Vermonters and how we can help them with farming issues, micro farming, food chain sustainability. Is that something that we can do in this committee?
Yes, I mean, I think certainly any member who has, whether it's that concern or, you know, some other concerns, as we look through the legislation, you know, should feel free to ask those questions.
Okay, great. Thank you.
May I comment on that as well?
Please do.
Chairman, thank you. We also had, are you familiar with the work of Rights and Democracy?
No.
Okay, Rights and Democracy is an organization that very much focuses on equity, racial equity, and they do focus on farm-specific issues as well. And we had them in to testify last year to set out their legislative priorities. And likely that might be someone that would be really helpful to have back in again to give us that lens and perspective.
Someone just shared with me, I'll get more information, I'm not gonna be rude and look at my email, but it's a guy in Milton and he works for an organization and he wants to meet with me and I'm gonna talk to him, but he's talking about how land use and farming and marginalized groups. And I will send all that information to the chair and the vice chair. And what is your title exactly? You're ranking member, right? Representative Graham. So I will send it to you. I'll send it to everybody. But I'm just curious to see, even if anyone has heard of this group, because it struck me as sort of an interesting concept of farmers renting out land to marginalized folks so they could then grow their own food. And I don't know where you all live, but in my county, we have a lot of farms that are in transitioning from being dairy and they don't quite know what to do. And I just wondered if this would slot in. So I'll share that with you when I get it.
I just, from past experience, I just want to put it out there that there are people and groups of people that want to operate with no regulations at all. And they will probably be coming to new members,
Okay.
asking to introduce some bills that would, so be careful.
On the lookout for that. Okay.
Yep, good.
Thank you for that warning.
Yeah, you don't have to put your name on a bill that you're not comfortable with, having somebody later on ask you about, for sure. I wanted to say just a couple of sort of housekeeping things too, unless anybody has any other thoughts that you wanted to bring up now. So we are on Zoom now, and we're operating under rules that, as I understand it anyway, as of today, say that you need to be here in the committee room to participate in the work of the committee. So this differs from where we were at various points in the last session where members who had COVID or a COVID-related issue could participate from somewhere else remotely. And when I say participate, it doesn't just mean voting. So there's sort of two pieces. One is, can you cast a vote, which is, was definitely something that happened last year. But then there's also, can I just be part of the conversation? And what I'm told anyway, is that at the moment, that's also sort of not it's off the table. So we will have people zooming in to testify. And in fact, when we had a visitor earlier, I was almost going to say, we're at capacity in this room. There's a sign on the door that says 12, which means there can be no more than 12 people in the space at any one time. And each room has a capacity limit, and that's determined by airflow, actually. So there were measurements taken at some point to try and determine what was a safe number of people to have in the room under the circumstances. So for the moment, until that's changed, and I don't know when that might be, any testimony that we get really should be coming through Zoom. So there are really two pieces of that bit of information. One was if you can't be here and are wondering, can I participate? Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your perspective, the answer is no. But we will have people testifying temporarily, perhaps, until we get the capacity issue straightened out.
But you can still watch.
Absolutely.
You just can't.
We won't prevent anybody from watching.
Okay.
Counter to the spirit of the whole thing, yeah.
But given the fact that all of our business we conduct needs to be here and recorded, how does that pertain to our email correspondence or extra office communications?
Yeah, so I would say generally speaking, we will refrain from doing anything over email that might be construed as conducting business. So you'll get emails saying, the committee is meeting or the committee is not meeting. Beyond that, I would say not a whole lot, yeah. There are public records constraints, or that's probably not the right word, but anything in your house email is available for the public essentially to see if they care to. In any case, certainly we won't be discussing any policy over email. As far as outside the room, if we're ever in a situation where we see 6 of us all sort of at the same lunch table, might want to have somebody stand up and go to the next table.
The 6 is the critical number.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah, so right. 6 is not a random number, but.
Right.
Okay. Let's see, what else did I want to mention today?
Will we have a contact sheet for everybody?
Oh, yeah, we will get that. In fact, why don't we do that today? And we can just if somebody's got a piece of paper and wants to pass around, if Mike, do you want to just, Representative Rice, you want to write your name and however you'd like to be contacted,
Can we put our email and our phone in case someone wakes up with COVID one morning, we need to, and then we would call you or Heather?
and then we'll get it typed up and distribute it.
You don't actually need to write our legislative email, right?
You don't need to write your legislative email.
You're talking about personal email.
Yeah, if you want to.
That's fine.
Don't put down anything that you would rather not be contacted.
It works.
And it won't be distributed publicly. So if you have a cell number that you don't really want the world to know about, we'll
Just give out your burner phone.
You mentioned
Backbone.
earlier the schedule from which we would normally be meeting. Will that be sent to us by email or?
So normally, it will be posted on the committee webpage. And it will be posted outside in hard copy, but not necessarily emailed.
Okay.
Has anyone had a chance to look at the legislative website? If you go to the legislative website, you can find, under committees, you can find a list of each committee, and then you can click on on our committee, and you'll see lots of useful information there. And let me just pause and say, in the past, were agendas emailed out? Because I don't want to.
Yes.
They were, okay, all right. So then.
I have no problem with that.
Okay, good. So we'll make a habit of emailing out agendas too. Okay, well, we'll send that sheet around and then, Laura, was there anything else that you were me saying we should talk about this?
You covered it all.
Okay, well, I guess last thing I'll just say is feel free, even if we're not, if the committee's not meeting, consider this a place where you can come and do work, you know, up to that limit of 6.
Right.
But yeah, you know, you can leave your boots here if you need to put a place for your boots, leave a coat here. When we're in committee, men don't need to wear their jacket. I don't know what the temperature gets like here, if it's tends to be warm or cold or normal. Toasty. Okay, yeah.
Awesome. Oh,
So not just the men, but women may also feel free to relax a little bit more here, attire wise.
This doesn't have email addresses.
this is the Gmail it fills itself in.
Okay.
Tomorrow.
Oh, no. So I don't think committees are meeting tomorrow. There's not a lot of floor time, but there's some other things going on. So I think that I don't think we won't be meeting anyway. And I would say stand by here to see, stand by meeting. And once the floor work is wrapped up this afternoon, let's plan to come back and we'll see where things stand.
Okay.
At that point. Great. All right, well,
This didn't make it to these guys.
yes, yeah, okay, wait, go ahead. Yeah.
This is a technical question. When I turn my head to look at the screen to see who's involved, where is the camera? Oh, that's a camera?
There's one up there too, but it's not on right now.
Okay, so, thank you. And then the other thing, just out of courteousness, if we could be introduced to the hard worker in our room.
Yes.
Yes, of course. I was gonna actually send you guys my bio over email, but since we're here, I'll just introduce myself.
Would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, so my name is Laura. I am a recent graduate of the University of Vermont. I majored in community and international development. I was in the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences, so it's a pretty fitting committee assignment. I live in downtown Burlington right now. I have 2 cats. They're my life. I'm really excited to be working with all of you. If you ever want to just chat with me about your work, I'm super interested in policy, and I'm planning to move to DC in May at the end of the session and when my lease ends. So love to, have any sorts of discussions like that with you guys.
Oh.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thanks, everybody. And we'll check in a little bit later then.